NVIDIA's CEO just went on record saying we shouldn't believe predictions about 50% of entry-level jobs getting wiped out by artificial intelligence. Sounds reassuring, right? Here's the problem. I've spent the last 18 months tracking money flows in AI as a former startup founder and tech investor, and what I'm actually seeing in hiring data, salary movements, and enterprise deployments tells a completely different story. It's not that he's lying, it's that he's looking at the wrong metric. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what's actually happening, which job categories are genuinely being destroyed, which ones are exploding, and most importantly, where you should be positioning yourself right now if you work in tech, finance, or any knowledge-based field. Let me start with the data that made me pay attention. Last year, I helped a client, a financial analyst at a major investment bank, understand why her role was being compressed. She'd been told her job was secure. But when I pulled the numbers, here's what I found. Her bank had deployed Claude Opus across their entire research department. That's Anthropic's flagship model, the one that costs $15 per million input tokens. Expensive, but for financial modeling, it was replacing 40% of the junior analyst work that used to take her team 8 hours per day. Now it takes 2. That's not speculation. That's what the bank's own internal metrics showed. They didn't lay her off. Instead, they reorganized her into a prompt engineering role managing AI outputs. Different job, different skills, different career trajectory. Now let's talk about what NVIDIA's CEO actually said versus what the labor data is showing. He claims that AI will create more jobs than it destroys. Historically, he's right. That's what happened with every major technological shift. The printing press didn't kill writing, it exploded it. Electricity didn't eliminate jobs, it created entire industries. But here's what most CEO statements miss. The jobs that get created are not the same jobs that get destroyed. They don't pay the same, they don't require the same training, and they don't appear in the same geographic markets. According to Bureau of Labor Statistics data from Q3 2024, here's the actual picture. Entry-level research positions across tech, finance, and consulting down 18% in headcount year over year. That's real. That's happening. Companies like OpenAI, which is pulling in approximately $4 billion in annual recurring revenue, are doing more research with fewer junior researchers because GPT-4 and custom fine-tuning models are handling the exploratory work that used to require teams of people. Meanwhile, AI infrastructure and prompt engineering roles up 310% in job postings over the same period. That's not a rounding error. That's a wholesale job category being created in real time. Here's the breakdown I'm actually seeing in the market, and I want you to pay close attention because this is where your career positioning matters. Job categories being systematically reduced. Junior data analysts, entry-level content writers, routine software testing roles, basic customer service tiers, junior financial modeling, and what I'd call repetitive knowledge work. These aren't disappearing overnight, but they're being compressed hard. I reviewed hiring plans at 3 Fortune 500 companies last quarter. Companies I have portfolio stakes in. And they've all moved to a model where one senior analyst supervises AI-generated outputs instead of managing teams of juniors. Job categories exploding. AI prompt engineers. Companies like Anthropic and OpenAI are hiring for specialized roles at $200,000 plus base, ML infrastructure engineers, AI quality assurance specialists, AI training data curators, and what I call AI translation roles. People who can speak both business language and AI capability language. These roles didn't exist 3 years ago. Now they're being filled at premium salaries. Here's a specific number that shook me. According to LinkedIn's 2024 jobs report, there are approximately 23,000 open positions for AI/ML engineer roles in the United States alone. Compare that to 2022 when there were about 6,000. That's a nearly 4x increase in less than 2 years. But entry-level researcher roles, those same data show a 22% contraction in new graduate hiring specifically. Why am I telling you this? Because if you're a college grad thinking about entering finance, tech, or research right now, your entry-level options have genuinely shifted. I'm not being alarmist, I'm being precise. Let me give you the real macro picture that NVIDIA's CEO's statement misses. Gen AI penetration among Fortune 500 companies is now at 68% according to McKinsey data from late 2024. That means 2/3 of the world's largest companies are actively deploying Claude, GPT-4, Gemini Ultra, or proprietary models into their workflows. When adoption hits that threshold, you're not in the early adopter phase anymore. You're in the "this is how work gets done now" phase. Here's what that actually means in practice. Companies aren't hiring more people to handle AI. They're redeploying existing people to manage AI. That creates a compression at entry levels and an explosion at middle to senior levels where people can actually oversee the technology. I worked with a consulting firm last year that deployed Claude Opus across their due diligence process. Before the deployment, they had 12 junior consultants doing initial document review and data extraction. After, they have 4 junior consultants managing the AI outputs and handling edge cases. The other 8, some got promoted into client-facing roles where AI can't operate yet. Some left the industry. One moved to prompt optimization, basically engineering how the model processes their specific document types. That story is being repeated across financial services, tech, legal, and pharmaceutical companies right now. It's not a 50% wipeout like some doomsayers predict. It's more like a 25-35% restructuring of entry-level hiring with a 150% plus increase in specialized AI-adjacent roles. Now, here's the part that actually matters for your career. If you're in an entry-level knowledge work position right now, your timeline is probably 6 to 18 months before your company seriously deploys Gen AI into your function. When they do, your job doesn't disappear, it transforms. The question is whether you transform with it or get left behind. The people I'm seeing win right now are doing one of 3 things. First, they are building AI literacy fast, not just understanding what ChatGPT is, but actually learning prompt engineering, learning how these models fail, learning how to evaluate model outputs. I had a client who was an entry-level equity analyst, exactly the type of role being compressed. She spent 3 months learning Claude and prompt optimization on her own time. When her firm deployed it, she became the person managing outputs instead of being the person whose work got automated. Her salary moved from $85,000 to $145,000 in one cycle. Second, they're positioning for the bridge roles, the jobs that specifically exist because companies need humans who speak both business and AI. Prompt engineer, AI quality assurance, AI training data specialist. These roles typically pay 30-50% more than equivalent non-AI roles, and the skill moat is still huge because the pool of qualified people is tiny. Third, they're moving into spaces where AI creates new work instead of replacing old work. Legal discovery used to be pure manual labor. Gen AI made it faster, but that same technology created demand for AI auditing roles, lawyers who specifically review what the AI found to catch hallucinations or missed material. Those roles pay premium salaries because the liability of getting it wrong is enormous. Here's what worries me about CEO statements like NVIDIA's. They're technically not wrong, but they're incomplete. Yes, net job creation will probably be positive over 5 to 10 years. Yes, new industries will emerge, but for the 18 to 36-month window you're living in right now, the disruption is real. The job categories are shifting. And if you're not paying attention to which side of that shift you're on, you could wake up in 18 months and find your role has been restructured without your input. The real wealth opportunity right now isn't in denying that AI is changing jobs. It's in understanding exactly which changes are happening and positioning yourself ahead of them. The people making serious money in AI right now aren't the ones building the models. Most of those companies are pre-revenue or running on venture capital. They are the ones who figured out how to work with the models, how to manage outputs, how to integrate them into legacy systems, and how to audit what they produce. So when you hear a CEO say, "Don't worry about 50% job loss,"